Hey guys, it's Sal here, and today we are going to be taking a closer look at the Assault class in Battlefield 4 to try and determine if the class still is the go-to class like it was in Battlefield 3. Now, one thing that DICE has really wanted to do with Battlefield 4 is make all of the classes equally fun to play. They don't want to have one class that everybody plays. Now, in order to achieve that, what they have done is they have buffed the Support, Engineer, and Recon classes, but as a flip side, they've also made Assault not quite as powerful, although still quite powerful, but just not as overbearing as it was in Battlefield 3. Now, how have they gone about doing this? Well, the first and probably the most noticeable are the new revive mechanics. Now, when you go to revive somebody in Battlefield 4 and you give them a quick zap, they come back with 20% health, unlike in Battlefield 3 where they would come back with 100% health and you could just give a quick zap 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 and your whole squad was alive and back to 100% health. Now, in order to get the 100% health revive, you need to charge up your paddles and then get the revive down. So that makes it a little less potent in that regard. Now, in the beta, when you went to revive somebody, you actually only had 7 seconds to revive them. Now, that actually sounds like quite a bit, you think, but in the heat of battle, that passes by very quickly. Now, DICE has actually released some patch notes, or not necessarily patch notes, but some proposed changes. They are going to up that time from 7 seconds to 10 seconds, which I believe makes a lot of sense, as it was pretty hard to get out those revives in time. So essentially what this does is it removes scenarios where, say there's 5 guys and you kill 4 of them, which is pretty impressive, but you miss that one last guy and he gets you. Now, if he is an assault, he can just go bam, 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 and then his whole squad is back, up alive, and your work just kind of seems like it was for nothing. Now, the new revive mechanics don't eliminate scenarios like this entirely, as say that player still had time to get off 2 full revives or maybe 3 quick revives. I'm not sure the actual numbers and timings, but essentially he can still do a part and revive his teammates and get them back alive, but just simply not to the extent where he can just hold down his mouse and have his whole squad be back alive. Now, this also plays into the new Diffuse game mode, which we haven't actually seen yet, but basically it's designed for competitive play where each player only has 1 life. Now, if each player has 1 life, why wouldn't everybody just play as Assault and you could just revive everybody? It makes sense, and it seems very overpowered because that seems like an Assault only game type. Well, the way they have changed the revive mechanics for that game mode is what they have done is once a player has died, he can only be revived once. If he dies again, he is dead and he is out. So that just makes it a little more fair, though it still does make Assault a very powerful class to play, but not unbelievably overpowered. Now, another thing that they have changed about Battlefield 4 is that the class of gun, the carbine, is available for use with every class. Now, carbines and assault rifles are very similar. Carbines, a lot of them are really high rate of fire, really accurate guns. For example, the ACWR, that was a really great gun to use, and it worked a lot like an assault rifle. So now, every class has access to the carbine class of weapons, so basically that just gives other classes a little more of a chance to be on par with those really high rate of fire assault weapons on close quarter maps. Now, the assault weapons that were available in the beta were the AK-12 and the Scar H. Now, both of these weapons had a very high damage output, especially in close quarters. They weren't as great over longer distances. The AK-12 was sort of, but I think they're going to change those mechanics as there is something with weapons remaining accurate longer than they should be. So for the most part, these guns were really great to use in a lot of situations. So that is really nice, and I have no doubt that Assault will still be a very popular class, but it is merely no longer the go-to class, as the other classes do have a lot of good options for killing people. Now, as you did see earlier, I got a chance to use the semi-automatic shotgun with the Assault class. Now, as you can imagine, that works well because when you're in close quarters, you want to have health, and when you can give yourself health, that generally tends to work in your favor, though that's definitely not to say that the shotguns are only for the Assault class. You can use them with any class, but I am specifically thinking about the Recon class because it does have those motion sensors, which is really helpful in close quarters environments. So to sum things up, is the Assault class worse? Definitely not. The Assault class is still a very, very strong class. It does have some changes just to balance it with the other classes, but those aren't really noticeable. It's not like you're gonna think, man, I really wish I could have revived all 5 of those guys in half a second right there. it's kind of unrealistic, and it makes sense that you can't do that anymore. So overall, the Assault class remains a very strong class, especially for close quarters maps, and it is definitely going to be a popular choice among players in Battlefield 4 upon launch. So that just about wraps up today's video on the Battlefield 4's Assault class that we have seen in the beta thus far. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, please like it. There's a green thumb below the video player that you can click. I always appreciate that, and maybe if you loved my stuff and you want to see more, you can click the subscribe button at the end of the video. So thank you so much, and I will see you guys next time.